Hello, I'm Tim again, and I'm from the Minstead Trust, as you know. And that's pretty professional, don't you think? We're definitely going up in the world with these. Did take the end off my nose a bit. I don't know how you've been getting on with haircuts during the lockdown. It's very difficult, isn't it? Mine got right, well, it wasn't long, but it's very short now. Look, that's a COVID haircut. Um, I got this in a rather mad way. Now, today is going to be about the mad horses of Minstead. Horses are very lovely and calm animals. If you knew Senator, he's always lovely and calm, wasn't he? But they're not always. Other horses are not so good as Senator necessarily, and it's the same with us people. We're calm most of the time, then sometimes we cut loose and we're not so calm. And that's what's happened to my hair, because the reason it's so short, it used to come to here, you might, if you look back at another video, and it now comes to here, is because I had an accident with a bonfire. So be very careful what you do. I burnt the front of my hair off, and then Lorna got the dog clippers and evened it all up for me, you see. So that's how I got my COVID haircut. And I'm going to tell you about some horses of Minstead. The first one's about Horace. Uh, Actually, it's about someone rather famous as well. Somebody called Olivia Newton-John, who we always used to know as Neutron Bomb. And she starred in many things as a pop singer and an actress. I suppose us older ones will remember her in Grease with John Travolta. About that time, when she was doing that film, she wanted to come to Furzy to film a pop song. So she came with all the paraphernalia, you know, the big trucks and the cameras and the producer and the cameraman and everything else that goes along with it, to film this outside the gallery, between the gallery and the drive at Furzy Gardens. Now, we had some white fantail doves at Furzy at that time. They were beautiful things, and they came from I don't know where, stayed a few years and then flew off. But they wanted to do something with these doves, so it was perfect setting. They all gathered round, the cameras were whirring, the doves were flying, it was just perfect. Olivia was singing, and it all went wrong because of our horse Horace. He looked a little bit like this horse. He didn't have white socks like that, but he was a brown horse. He was stabled in what is now the Bug Barn. And we had a gate across, you see. He stayed behind the gate. It was always very good until Olivia Newton-John started singing. For some unaccountable reason, Horace jumped the gate. He's never been known to jump a gate before or since, and he ran right through the film crew, and they were a bit shocked. So by the time Olivia had recovered and they got everything set up again and Horace was safely put back in his stable, they recorded their song. So you never know quite what a horse will do. The other horse, the next one that was really notable, was Peggy. Now, Peggy was what's called a skewball mare, a wall-eyed skewball mare, in fact. So she had wall eyes. She looked a bit like Monty Feldman, and so her eyes were peculiar. And then her colour was white with brown patches on it. That's the skewball colour, you see. Now, we had Peggy to do some field work, and I don't know if you ever remember seeing the hay rake that we used to have out at Furzy Gardens. Well, I used to use that hay rake with Peggy between the shafts to get up the hay in the paddock. The only problem with this was that Peggy had ambitions to be on the Ben-Hur set. She wasn't really trained for that sort of work, And it's very dodgy. If you're up on the seat of a hay rake like this, you're having to use both hands, hands for the reins, hand for the one of the controls, and your feet for other controls. You're on a bouncy seat, so it's a bit like riding a chariot. No wonder they had so many agricultural accidents. So we'd start off, get the tines down on the rake, going along the field, gathering up the hay beautifully into a nice roll, and then you pull the tines up, drop the roll out of the tines and turn around and go back. Except that Peggy didn't like the turning round bit. So what she used to do, when she got to the end of the field, she'd rear up like this and turn round ever so fast, and then you had to hold on to her and hold on to get her to slow down to go back along the field. So that experiment didn't really last all that long. It wasn't especially good. So that's Horace and that's Peggy. And then there was Cobweb. Now, Cobweb was a big grey mare, heavy horse with lovely feathered legs. Not quite like this, she wasn't as white as this, but she was a lovely grey colour with little grey blotches all over her. Beautiful mare she was. And at the lodge at that time we had a great big potato cart. And that's a bit like a chariot. It's a big cart with two big wheels and the shafts. And we used to use that for bringing stuff up from the bottom of the vegetable garden and from down in the meadow now where we keep the donkeys and things like that. And she was pretty good, except that one day something spooked her. See, this is the thing about horses. You never know quite what will spook them. If they're going along the road, might be a drain cover, or it might be someone on a bike, or something they don't recognise, and then they can act right out of character. Well, something spooked Peggy. Not Peggy, Cobweb. And she set off at a gallop from the bottom of the drive down where our cattle grid is, up the drive, round the front of the lodge, the great big cart behind her swinging and swaying, someone standing up in it, holding onto the reins, then a long round, turned left as though she was going to go up the north drive, and then she suddenly made a right turn as to go down to the workshops, looked around, and then made another right turn down towards the kitchens, where we now park the cars and where we got the recreation room and everything. She charged down there and she's going hell for leather for the kitchen window. So she finally pulled herself up to a stop, the great cart heaving in with the shafts behind her, with her nose right up against the window, physically against the kitchen window. Well, there's another incident I won't go into now, but it was when we had a Peggy in a cart going down through the village, and we met a traction engine coming the other way. She thought that was the devil incarnate, and that resulted in another incident. So we don't do things with horses really now. We have nice, reliable tractors, and they always do what you tell them to do. So they're wonderful things, horses. They're generally very calm like us, and sometimes they're not, just like us. We break out and do something silly, but often, fortunately, it's something we could laugh at as well. Farewell.